Hello. Well, today we're going to look at a very direct way to move through and work with difficult feelings more effectively and to therefore be able to manifest better things in our life, to feel better on the inside, to feel more at peace on the inside, and therefore see naturally our world change for the better. If you don't know who I am, my name's Tim. I've written multiple books talking about this exact process, talking about how these cool metaphysical law of assumption, law of attraction, manifestation concepts can be linked with stress management and somatic types of approaches where we use our body, where we're not just in our head, but we're using our whole body to really work with our imagination. That's what I do. There's a link in the description if you want a free copy of one of my books. You can also reach out to me. Link will be in the description if you want to talk to me and have a free consultation, or if you want a Google Doc of what we are going to go over today. I've been mentioning Eugene Gendlin's name a lot recently in my videos. And Eugene Gendlin is somebody that a client mentioned to me a few years ago. I had never heard of him because I do not have, a historical background in psychology. It's something I'm interested in simply as someone who's interested in the mind. But, I never learned about him in school. But it's taken me a couple of years to really get to just look at Gendlin's stuff more closely. And the more I look at Gendlin's stuff, the more I realize that what I usually do with clients when I somatically work with them and move through, quote unquote, difficult feelings with them, a lot of the time what I'm doing with a client is much more what Gendlin called focusing, as opposed to the IFS or internal family system parts work that Richard Schwartz talks about, and is such a wonderful modality, and we've spoken about a lot. IFS has become increasingly popular, in my opinion, as a maverick shit kicker counselor. It's probably become too popular. Gabby Bernstein wrote a book about it. God bless Gabby. People are like, oh, check out Gabby's book about IFS, and, some people said it was good. I looked at it, Richard Schwartz did the introduction, being like, I'm so glad that Gabby finally lent a voice to this, this is great. The book is a hunk of shit, in my opinion. It misses the deeper spiritual component and imaginative component that makes IFS at its essence so interesting, and also what makes the focusing work of Gendlin so interesting. Gendlin didn't use all these terms and all this technical language. There's no talk about protectors, firefighters, exiles, etc. when it comes to Gendlin stuff. It's more like, I'm feeling this. How am I relating to this? Right? And obviously, or not obviously, but I mean, Schwartz and IFS at its essence is exactly that too. I just think IFS, inadvertently, we can build a lot of narratives over our stories and over our feelings, which can be really, really helpful from a therapeutic standpoint. Like, for instance, people with eating disorders, having this kind of narrative and like protector, exile, firefighter setup is really good from a therapeutic setup standpoint and setup. But when it comes to more like just far out, we're using our imagination, we're utilizing these law of assumption and law of attraction principles with somatic work. I think that Gendlin's approach is going to help people a lot of the time. And I just realized, the more I got into kind of Gendlin's approach, looking at it, and with the help of ChatGPT, I'm like, man, you know what? This is like intuitively like what I've always done with most of my clients. And the way Gendlin talks about it is much more, I think, the style a lot of people who watch this channel will like, as opposed to the more technical IFS language that is often tossed around. And again, that's not knocking IFS at all. I love IFS. I just think it's become too popularized now. And we don't do popular. We do correct. We go to the vibe, man. So I was talking to GPT, and they gave me this great kind of instructional thing that I thought I would go through with you quickly. and that you can maybe then do on your own or modify however you like. Just Jen kind of his general approach for like how to work with a feeling that seems stuck and that you can't get to move, or a persistent feeling that's there and maybe disappears but then comes back again and is persistent. I'm talking about those feelings we have in our heart area, like our chest, like that quote unquote contraction, right? Where like you feel this heaviness in your chest, or this nervousness in your stomach, or this feeling in your throat, or this throbbing in your head. And you're like, this thing is destroying my life. But you don't know how to work through it. And so much of this somatic work, so much of this shadow work is simply realizing that what we fear, feeling-wise, is often what is going to help us. As Richard Schwartz so eloquently said, there are no bad parts. So I'm going to just read this GPT thing and quickly go over this with you, from kind of an experiential somatic standpoint right now. Here's kind of like a Jen Lin type approach, something that can guide you for dealing with these unbudging, it's here but it won't move sensations, right? The first thing that they suggest here is labeling it something like, something in me feels tight, or like, where do I feel this in the body? And the recommendation here, the general Jen Lin recommendation, is you do not have to name it. You do not have to be like, this chest contraction, this contraction in my chest, right? This links up with something that David Hawkins always talked about. Like, David Hawkins is like, you don't have to label it fear. Like, you don't have to label this sensation in your chest fear or anger or sadness. You don't have to label it, right? You can just say like, something in me I feel something in my chest area, right? If you say it's a chest contraction, let alone if you say it's fear, that's already one level removed. It's a mental layer added to something that does not need to be added to. So, you can say something like, something in me feels tight right here in my chest, and it's not shifting. This subtly reframes it and puts you more in an intimate, direct relationship with it, and it allows you to be there with it without it overwhelming you as much, right? So I'm noticing this sensation in my chest, or I'm noticing this sensation in my stomach or my throat or wherever, right? And then the next thing that Jen Lin usually would recommend is basically just say like, I see you, hello. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just curious about you. So now we're intimately here with the feeling in a non-judgmental, more neutral space. This feeling that perhaps we're trying to run away from all the time, all of a sudden we have a totally different perspective and relationship with it. Because here it is, here I am. And we're not saying, that this feeling has to go away. We're saying, I'm here with you, and it's okay. So we're there. And often, Jen Lin would say something like, can you say hello to it? Can you simply be there with it? Just saying hello to it, being with it in this way, that can be just the name of the game in and of itself. I am relating to this thing in my chest that's coming up totally differently than the normal narrative of, oh, there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with this person, why do I feel this way? No, all that's gone. Hello. I'm here with you. I feel you. So, yeah, there's no pressure to shift, there's no coaxing, there's just a respectful greeting. Then what I often do, if you've ever had a session with me before and done somatic work with me, you'll recognize this right away. And you might even see this in some of my free YouTube seminars where I've done it with people or mentioned it. Once we've said hello and we've got this non-judgmental relationship in space here, what I often suggest is saying something like, you don't have to say exactly this, but saying something like, to this feeling, what do you want? What do you want? And what is wild, and those of you who have done IFS type of work before, or somatic work, know this already. What is wild is very often something will come up. It might not make intellectual sense, but something often will come up. Like, I want safety. I want to be heard. I want love. I'm scared. Please listen. Or it might be a visual comes up of, a memory you have, or a certain image, an image of, a chain link fence or something like that. It could be any, but something will come up, not from like this rational part of your mind at all, but like will just come up. Here it says, you can ask something like, what do you want? Or like, what would it want me to know? What do you want me to know? If it could speak, what would it want me to know? What could I do for it? What do you want me to do? Don't try to analyze if it says something. Just invite it to whisper to you and see what it says. And this is the whole thing, guys. It might not say anything. And that is 100% okay. We are not forcing it to say anything. And that's part of this, what makes this process so magical. Jen Lin was colleagues with Carl Rogers, who has one of my favorite quotes, which I'll paraphrase here, which basically is, the paradox is, only when I accept myself fully am I able to change. And what that means in this context is, you can ask, what do you want? Feeling, what do you want? And it's perfectly okay if it doesn't say anything. And you can just be here with that feeling. Again, this is what David Hawkins talks about. He says, just be there with the feeling. That's okay. Silence is a response. And the next, thing you can do, or the next step, you could say, right, is, can I just, again, be here with this? Can I just let it be without pushing it to shift? Can I just be with it? You're not trying to release it. You're just creating an atmosphere where it might begin to shift if it wants. So I ask the sensation in my chest, for instance, or in my stomach, or my head, or throat, or wherever, what do you want? And maybe it says safety, or I'm scared. And you're just with that. And then you can ask a follow-up question, of course. Those of you familiar with IFS will be familiar with this, of course. You can say something like, how can I help provide that to you? What do you want me to do? What would make you feel more safe? And you can see if it responds to that. But it might not. You might just be there with it. I want safety. I feel scared. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm just here with the feeling, totally respectful of the feeling. Letting it be. Again, you're creating an atmosphere where it might begin to shift naturally, if it wants. See, what I found is, like, I don't let go of the feeling lets go of me. It shifts when it's ready, not by me forcing it, by it naturally shifting. And that usually happens through being with it non-judgmentally, asking it what it needs, what it wants, perhaps quote unquote parenting it in a very gentle way, like the way a parent would be with their kid, and just the kid just wants the parent to be there. They can't articulate why necessarily. That's what we're doing now. This, by the way, is the law of assumption, guys. This is the law of attraction. This is revision. This is what really it's all about a lot of the time. This is what I work with people on, If you want to do this with me, because it often helps to do this with a facilitator, you can find out information in the description for how to work with me. So we're here, and at this point something might have quote unquote shifted, or maybe it has not. Either is totally fine. The next, I guess you could say, step in the process, and they're really, this is not like 1 through 5. It doesn't matter. We're numbering it here, saying steps, but this is all very organic and just happens holistically, right? You might jump right to step 3. It's not, it doesn't matter. The next, step or idea is like sense for the more than this. Jen Lin would often say, there's more to this than just this tightness. Like there's more there. Like if there's this sensation, this tightness or whatever in my chest, there's probably more that, it's not just tight because it's tight. Maybe there's more there. Let your awareness soften around, the feeling, the contraction, whatever you want to call it. Again, we don't have to really label it like something, we don't have to say, well, let's let your awareness soften around the fear. You don't have to do that. Just, again, be with it. What do you want? Maybe it says nothing. Maybe we're just with it. And then can you feel that feeling, and then feel the rest of your body? Like maybe, how do your feet feel against the ground right now? Or how does your head feel, or your hands? Can you be with the tightness as part of the whole? Can we just give it space to be here, and we feel our whole body and we're okay? And a phrase might emerge, like we said, the phrase might emerge like, I want to be held, I want to be loved, or, this doesn't need to be held anymore. This issue does not have to be your concern anymore. Something might come up, and if it does, you can take note of it. You can write it down if you want. But also nothing might come up. And here we are just with this feeling, this sensation. It says here, let me know what you sense. This might not be a shifting day. This might not be a day where this sensation that we are focusing on shifts. It might just be, I'm sitting with it today. That's sacred too. There's no right or wrong here. What we find is that when we're completely comfortable being with it, as opposed to fighting against it, it naturally shifts. It naturally lets go of that tightness or that uncomfortable sensation that seems so overpowering. If we, again, to paraphrase that Rogers quote, if we become totally comfortable with what's happening, things shift, things change. And this is a whole mind-body experience. And the reason I say this is so much part of law of assumption and law of attraction work is because this is your imagination in action. Your body and your mind are imaginatively responding to everything. Your body is so intelligent. This is what Jen would always talk about. This is what one of my favorite mystical teachers, really an anti-teacher, U.G. Krishnamurti, would always talk about. It's your body is so intelligent. And you think your intellectual mind knows all this stuff? No, the body knows much better than our mind intellectually knows a lot of the time. So this is about becoming more intimate. You could say focusing more. I'll put a link. I'll try to get a YouTube audiobook link to Jen Lin's book below in the description. If I can't find it, you can just search for the paperback version or audiobook version online of Eugene Jen Lin's masterpiece, Focusing. But, you know, one thing I love about Jen Lin is he was an incredibly intelligent and emotionally intelligent person, but he said, listen, like, this is you. This is not like you're going to learn how to do this. This isn't like a technical fucking thing, da da da. And again, with IFS and stuff, it gets too technical inadvertently a lot of the time. A firefighter, exile, protector, da da da. This is just feeling. What do you want? I'm here with you. Maybe even saying I love you if it feels right. But I'm here with you. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you want the Google Doc of this, you can contact me. Info will be in the description. If you'd like to do this kind of work with me, info will be in the description. If you want one of my free books, info will be in the description. I hope this was helpful. Have a good day.